It's 65 million years ago. The dinosaurs roam the Earth. But the world changes forever when a massive asteroid smashes into the planet. Earth's largest living reptile, and some say the animal most likely to eat a human, is the saltwater crocodile. They're massive, weighing up to a ton. That's roughly the weight of your car. And they measure up to 7 meters long. Incredibly aggressive and territorial, they inhabit the northern parts of Australia. The top end is the Croc end. One man who knows his crocodiles is Australia's own Outback Wrangler, Matt Wright.
When they hunt, they're very stealthy and they'll just move in just like a log will in the breeze, and they'll just wait for that little bit of splash, a little bit of vibration on that water, and then they'll launch out.
Their jaws can exert a pressure of several tons, preferring to hunt at night.
They can see 180 degrees in full focus and be able to zoom in on anything up to a kilometre.
Salties are renowned for the dreadful death roll. Not only intended to drown its victim, the crocodile rapidly rolls its prey in the water to remove its limbs.
Everything about a crocodile, the way their eyesight is, their hearing, their nostrils, the way they stick their head out of the water, is a very evolved predator.
Over the next hour, you'll see the most infamous croc attacks in Australia's history.
So that's the night we had my legs from this whole neck. Yelling, Croc, somebody help, Croc, he's got me, I'm gonna die.
Unbelievable escapes.
The old story whereby a bit of complacency creeps in and people say it won't happen to me.
And tragic encounters that shocked a nation.
She was panicking a fair bit and we couldn't help her because the tide was running too fast and there was big crocs floating around in the water.
This is Savage Australia. Crocodiles. Cape York, Australia's northernmost tip. Inhospitable and very dangerous. It takes a special kind of person to join the population of less than 20,000, as local policeman Trevor Crawford knew all too well.
It's common knowledge that if you're going to be living in this area, or whatever the case, you're going to have to learn to live with all of the creatures that are around this area. It ranges from tiger sharks, box jellies and crocodiles.
On Christmas Eve, Cassie Bond, husband and father of 7, fell victim to this oldest of predators.
It's the old story whereby a bit of complacency creeps in, and because there's been no attacks for so many years, people say it won't happen to me.
The Jardine River ferry crossing is about an hour's drive from Bamaga on the road to Cairns. Cassie was visiting family on the other side of the river. The ferry had broken down and Cassie decided to swim across the river to try to help repair it. He was just 3 meters from the ferry when the crocodile struck.
2 young girls who were on the ferry actually saw like a tide effect or a rippling in the water heading towards Mr. Bond as he was approaching the ferry. And before they even knew it, he was taken by the croc.
Cassie Bond's body was recovered an hour and a half later, intact but badly mauled. Queensland Rangers searched for the killer croc and set up 2 traps. Eventually, this female was found and the teeth were consistent with bite marks found on Cassie Bond. Despite the ever-present dangers, Far North Queensland is Australia's fastest growing tourism region. Boasting lush rainforests, endless white sand beaches and crystal clear waters, it's the perfect environment for visitors to relax and drop their guard. And those who ignore the warnings can pay the ultimate price. In 2016, Cindy Waldron was holidaying in the Daintree National Park near Cape Tribulation with her close friend, Leanne Mitchell. One evening, the pair were cooling off in the waters of the idyllic Thornton Beach when suddenly Leanne felt something brush against her leg. Seconds later, Cindy was screaming, "A croc's got me!" Cindy tried to hold on, but she was dragged beneath the water. it took weeks for her remains to be discovered in the body of a 4.3-metre crocodile. But it's not only tourists who find themselves in trouble. Further north, near Weipa, where it's said there are more crocodiles than people, is where one man managed a miraculous escape. Mine worker and fisherman Todd Bairstow.
They're not circus animals, they're wild animals.
Todd was about to come face to face with the crocodile that nearly ate him alive.
There he is.
There's the boy that grabbed you, and it's got its little girlfriend with him.
Still looks cranky, mate.
Yeah. So we're going to go in to see if we can get a bit up close and friendly with him without getting into a dangerous area where you're going to think you're getting attacked again. I wouldn't do that to you.
I recognise that smile, mate.
All right.
The last time Todd and this croc met was in a life or death battle on a riverbank in Weipa, far north Queensland. Todd was enjoying a peaceful afternoon of fishing. But suddenly, the 3-metre reptile attacked.
And I ended up facing him like this on the mud, on the bed in the water with just his snout sticking out. Get on both my legs, he was just growling like that. He can just growling at me. And I'm like, this is it, he's gonna pull me in.
Todd wrestled with the prehistoric monster for 30 terrifying minutes.
All you feel is you go slack and a little like that. Next one, bang! Then I tried to put it on his head to kick him off. He didn't like that. And that's when he sprang and broke my first leg. And he just rolled and he just popped my other leg.
With one hand still trapped in the croc's jaw, Todd desperately grabbed onto a mangrove root with his free hand to stop the croc pulling him underwater.
And I realised I had to get that bloody hand out or I'll end up croc shit. So I started just yanking this one as hard as I could. I managed to pull it off, pull it free, but at the same time I pulled my finger off. But what's the finger?
Todd now had a better grip on the bank, and so began a deadly tug-of-war, alone in the mangroves with a croc, and Dig, his faithful but clueless dog.
A dog come up and he was sniffing around, carrying on. So I grabbed him and I threw him over my back. And that's the moment we had both my legs. So I'm just holding there, yelling out, Croc, Croc, somebody help, Croc, he's got me, I'm gonna die.
But help was on its way. Enter Todd's knight on a shining Harley, fellow mine worker Kevin Bevan. Kev heard someone had been snatched by a croc and headed straight for the creek.
Yeah, mate, he was bellowing for his life, bloody screaming. I ran out there and latched onto him and he was just saying, don't let go of me, don't let go of me, it's got me.
Kev's like, Toddy, Kev, get me, he's still on me, he's still on me. And Kev ran down there and he grabbed one in my hand and he pulled me up and he got me a bit up and the croc's still having my leg.
I was actually a bit scared on how hard you actually pull a person when there's a crocodile hanging on him. So I just kept a weight against him and he was lashed around my leg and then he came free and I sort of stepped back and dragged him like that and I saw a big swell behind him and that's when I thought, let's get him out of here quick, and me.
I was happy, mate. I was a happy man. I'll give you the hot tip. It's been on the bloody bank, mate. I started crying straight up, mate. I couldn't believe it.
If you get caught in a situation where a crocodile is sort of a bit more confident than it should be, and it's not an overly huge croc, and like 3-metre croc grabs hold of you, you know, and you've got a place where you can hold onto a tree or out-tie the croc, well, there's a good chance you're going to get away.
The Northern Territory. Wild, unbroken, deadly. Home of the saltwater crocodile. And our very own Matt Wright, a 21st century blend of Steve Irwin and Crocodile Dundee. Whenever most people come across a dangerous animal like a croc, their reaction is to back away. But Matt is not most people.
Yeah, but that's education. You know, a lot of people don't understand the animals that we have in our own country.
So how does Matt deal with a deadly apex predator?
Well, we just stay out of the kill zone. Settle down.
Inevitably, there are the comparisons with the late Steve Irwin and with Crocodile Dundee.
Right, so Crocodile Dundee, they did movies here, and that's, you know, that's Hollywood. But with Steve Irwin, you know, Steve was great. He's made his mark in the whole industry. He brought Australia to light. So to even be compared in that sort of light is a massive privilege.
It sure is a hard act to follow. Steve Irwin was a showman, a conservationist and an icon. Check out this footage of the great Steve Irwin in action for genuine, unmatched commitment.
Okay, you keep on to it. You got it?
But these days, it's guys like Matt Wright that are keeping Steve's legacy alive. And as Matt's reputation grows, so does the demand to deal with rogue crocs. And that's what has Matt flying down to a tiny community close to the West Australian border.
There's been a couple of crocs right near this community called Pepinati, and we're going to go in there and try and catch them and take them out. Unfortunately, we can't catch and relocate these ones because they are problem crocodiles. They've been trying to attack some of the locals. So our job now is to go down there, catch them, and if we can't get them into the farm, then I'll take them back home there. I'll build a pen for them there.
Along the riverbank and in the wetlands, a couple of big crocs have the locals worried. With freshly slaughtered feral pigs as bait, Matt flies the croc traps into location. Matt's offside Chris Wilson points out the size of one of the animals they're after.
That's the back of his hand there, and that's his claws. So it's quite a significant sized animal that we're dealing with here.
Along the river, a much bigger trap has been built by Matt's team. They spent days prepping this setup right at the community's favourite waterhole. Connected to the pig carcass is a trigger rope for the trapdoor. The trapdoor is lifted and the trap is complete. Now the waiting game begins. The next morning reveals our first animal. It's airlifted from wetland onto dry land, and she's not happy about it.
Hold it tight.
This female croc isn't what Matt is after. The rogue crocs are still at large.
Hold it. Relax. Come on. I know that one.
Surprisingly, the jaws are easily closed by hand and tape is used to secure the mouth shut.
It can get quite dangerous. if you're not on your game and if you don't know what you're doing, best thing is not to get complacent. You know your boundaries and you don't push them.
Overnight, a croc takes the bait. Trapping a croc is one thing, but getting it out of there the next day is another. Matt and his team live for challenges like this. The first task is to harpoon the animal, and it looks worse than it is. The barbs hook into the tough skin behind the neck, which Matt says the croc doesn't fear. Then he has to jaw rope it, which is a lot easier said than done.
Just get a little stick. You only need something small because he's going to poke his head up here in a minute. There he is right there. Here he comes, Willow. Willow. Got him. You got him. Hey. Okay. Whoa. So hold him there. Tape. Hessian. What's this?
The eyes are covered to reduce visual stimulation, which helps calm the croc.
He's still he's a long croc, but he's not in very good condition. So you can see this big scar here. Big bite mark on his tail here.
This croc might be a tough customer, but it looks like it's come off second best to an even tougher, even bigger specimen. And that guy is still out there. That night, the monster rogue croc appears. It rips into the bait and the trapdoor slams shut.
What do you got? Mate, we've got a massive animal in there. He's a good. I just saw his head sitting up on the bank. Mate, that is an absolute stonker. That is the one we're after. That thing yesterday is going to look like a puppy dog compared to this.
That's his tail here. Tail's right up. I hope it's his tail. Otherwise it's his head right in here. Me.
This croc is a different kind of beast altogether and is not going to surrender without a real fight. Suddenly, he lunges for the gate.
Oh, get on top of that gate. Close that gate. Quick. Watch your foot. Go, watch your foot.
Yeah, mate. No, you're right. I'm watching.
Shit, he's a good animal.
This guy's turning out to be a nightmare and pushes Matt's abilities to the limit.
Get out of my feet. Quick, go. Go.
Go. Come on.
The croc's still resisting. The struggle has taken so long, by now the word is out and close to the whole town comes down for a look. It takes almost 2 hours before Matt can lasso the animal's jaw.
Oh, yes! Yes, get into him! You got him, cowboy. Ready to go back? Go back. Back.
At 4.8 metres, he's only a bit longer than the other rogue croc, but he's probably 300 kilos heavier, weighing in close to a ton.
Right, come around now.
It's been a hell of a battle. But Matt's captured one hell of a croc. It takes a bulldozer to shift the croc up the hill to the trailer. For the local kids, it's a thrill, but one old lady has mixed feelings as she bids farewell to her tribal totem.
Mama.
Hey, say goodbye.
Yes, I said goodbye to him.
In northern West Australia, Broome is a laid-back holiday destination and situated close to the amazing Kimberley region. Balmy temperatures create a tropical vibe, perfect for a dip at the famous Cable Beach, and perhaps a cocktail to finish the day. But one particularly thirsty Broome resident took the laid-back concept a bit too far. Michael Newman, or Crocodile Dundee as he's now known, created international headlines when he made a late-night visit to the Broome Crocodile Park.
We reached one day for a swim and to get a suntan.
Apparently oblivious to the fact that it was late on a pitch-black night, the 36-year-old pushed ahead with his excellent adventure.
And I went up to the fence and I looked through the fence and I seen these two crocodiles. And I named one of the crocodiles Moonstar. And I was talking to him through the fence and I said, "Oh, you're Moonstar, you belong to the moon and the stars."
But rudely ignored by Moonstar, Michael decided to get close and personal with the other guy, jumping on the back of an 800-kilo monster he named Artesian, who promptly clamped his jaws onto his right leg.
So I'm holding onto the fence while he had my leg. And I said, "Artesian, let me go, let me go." It opened his mouth and let me go.
Michael somehow got out and staggered back to the pub where his night had begun and had a few more drinks just to take the edge off, until staff pointed out he was bleeding all over the barroom floor.
I reckon if he wasn't drunk, he would have been in a lot of pain.
All patched up and having had a good think about it, Michael was a wiser man.
Well, I won't be going back near an alligator again, put it that way.
That's Crocodile, Michael. But it's not always the humans that are the weird ones. This is one very confused reptile and one terrified workman.
Oh, my heart almost jumped out of my chest.
This big fella at the Australian Reptile Park north of Sydney was sure hurting a little bit after biting off more than it could chew.
It happened that fast and it was that scary, but yeah, I'm bloody glad to be alive.
Elvis the Croc, all 5 metres of him, was lying peacefully in his pond when he looked up, saw workers mowing the lawn and thought, breakfast.
Next second, he was attached to the end of the mower, dragging it in, almost took me into the drink with him.
I had to scream at Billy, "Let it go, let it go, let it go."
And Elvis came off second best.
That's an enormous tooth for any croc.
Undeterred, Elvis dragged the mower into his lair, guarding it for dear life. It took hours to coax Elvis into giving up his prize. That's a very lucky lawnmower. For some, surviving an attack is just dumb luck. Driving 18-year-old Lee DePauw's decision to jump into croc-infested waters was, in Lee's words,
stupidity. No, there's crocs there.
Stupidity, and wanting to win the affection of British backpacker Sophie Patterson. To impress the tourist, Lee suggested he dive into Innisfail's Johnson River.
I started telling them about how backpackers are more likely to get eaten by a crocodile than Australians. So we decided to go down to the river and test the theory.
He was kind of saying, you know, I can jump in the water, the crocs won't get me.
It was confidence brought on by excessive drinking, which Lee estimates at
about 10 cups of goon.
I just carried on walking with him so that he wasn't on his own, and that was when he kind of said, I'm going to do this, and I just was in complete and utter disbelief.
Sophie could only watch on in horror as Lee dived into the water and a crocodile latched onto his arm.
Obviously the crocodile has sensed a lot of movement, a lot of swimming and splashing in the area, and that's what they're attracted to.
Started shaking its head and carrying on.
Lee was gripped by one thought.
Holy crap, I'm gone for sure.
But Lee fought back.
I punched it in the snout.
Then it dragged him 6 metres down the river, but Lee wasn't done.
My second hit, I got it straight in the eye, and then it let go. Swam back to the stairs with one floppy arm and pulled myself out.
Sophie describes Lee's body as looking like something from a horror movie.
You've seen Jaws. It was kind of like that, you know, there was a lot of blood, a lot of bone. It was just, you know, it was pretty horrendous.
He's exceptionally lucky that that crocodile didn't get a good grip, go into a death roll and drown him. That river is known for very large numbers of crocodiles in the waters.
You never see anyone swimming here. All the locals know not to swim in the waters around here.
Lee's broken arm and stitches will heal, but he'll carry the scars of the attack for the rest of his life. But hopefully by now his feelings for the backpacker have calmed down.
She's beautiful, caring and kind. I didn't know there was a croc there. I just done it for Sophie.
Croc attacks don't only happen in the wild to careless fishermen and tourists. Professionals are also fair game in places you expect would be perfectly safe. Renee Robertson was working in an enclosure at the Billabong Sanctuary in Townsville. A 2.5 metre croc named Tipper suddenly moved towards Renee and backed her into a corner before it lunged and latched onto her arm, dragging her to the ground. Another handler came to the rescue and beat the croc with a pole until it eventually released her, but not before mauling her severely. Handlers at the Billabong Sanctuary should have known the dangers, because many years before, something terrible had happened. Staff were attempting to separate a female from her eggs. The eggs were to be hatched in an incubator to protect them from predators. But the angry mum, called Hot Lips, well, she didn't like that idea at all. Charlie Finn had the job of trying to secure those lethal jaws when the croc struck. Despite being held down by 3 men, the croc managed to grab his hand and flip him over in the infamous death roll. Charlie suffered a badly fractured arm and deep cuts, but it could have been much worse.
A croc can step up quite fast and catch someone off guard. You need a lot of time to be working with crocs and working out when to work closely with them or when to back off.
At the Shoalhaven Zoo, southwest of Sydney, all it took was a moment of overconfidence. Seconds after a terrifying croc attack, this video shows zoo staff trying to coax the 300-kilo culprit out of the water. Handler Trent Burton had been feeding Shoalhaven Zoo's star attraction, Big John, when he tried to retrieve a piece of meat from the 3.7-metre male's mouth. Onlookers watched in horror as Trent suddenly found himself under attack.
Oh, the scariest lick I've ever seen in my life.
He was feeding him meat and the crocodile took it before the designated area to be fed. And so the trainer went to grab it out of the crocodile's mouth and the crocodile just grabbed the trainer's hand and put him to the ground and dragged him into the water.
Even Trent's colleagues were amazed at his moment of poor judgment.
Trent's tried to reach and take it out of his mouth. Why you do that? I don't know.
He managed to break free and get out, suffering bite wounds to both hands. Another very lucky guy with a brain snap that nearly cost him his life. Recovering from surgery and missing his thumb, croc handler Ian Jenkins knows he's a lucky man.
I might not have got out of there actually, so which is another thing. You know, I've got a wife and 3 daughters that you know, it's just to put them through that sort of thing is just, it's not on.
The 58-year-old was feeding a croc named Macca during a show at his own zoo when it attacked.
All I can remember is climbing out of the pond, but apparently did do a roll where I lost my thumb.
A death roll, but Ian escaped, blaming himself for the attack.
It was just an instinctive reaction to have a grab at what was close. I'm fairly annoyed with myself there. So a stupid reaction, which is could have been very costly, so I'm very lucky.
Fellow handler Louise Smith is the person Ian owes his life to.
I did what I could to try and distract Macca's attention from Ian and give Ian a chance to remove himself from the situation.
She jumped in and hit the enraged Croc with a stick.
She managed to whack him on the head. He was coming in to finish me off, I think, by the sound of it, and I think she broke the stick on his head.
Saltwater and freshwater crocodiles have long been hunted by Australia's Indigenous communities for food, but commercial crocodile hunting didn't occur in Australia until the 1930s. After the Second World War, the increase in the value of crocodile skins, combined with the availability of powerful rifles, led to a croc-killing boom that had devastating consequences, as reported in 1966.
Saltwater crocodile has few defenders and is disappearing rapidly from our coastline. As the female does not breed until she is about 8 years old and fully grown, the possibility of extinction is strong. In 100 million years, it has survived everything but the white man.
By 1970, the hunting practices had become unsustainable. Only 3,000 saltwater crocodiles remained in the Northern Territory, and the species was listed as endangered and protected from hunting in 1971.
Back in the mid-70s, early 70s, right up to the early 80s, it did wipe out a lot of our natural population, wild population of crocodiles.
As decades passed, crocodile numbers gradually increased, and from the late 1990s, Indigenous communities were granted permission to hunt a quota of crocs for food and skins. Meningrida, on the coast of Arnhem Land in the Northern Territory, is the capital of saltwater croc country. For this remote community, crocodiles are a major resource.
This is very important for the people of this community because apart from the rangers hunting for them, they also provide meat to the community and the people.
Here, when night falls, the local community use the same croc-catching techniques they've employed for tens of thousands of years. Once hauled in, the crocodile's jaw is tied shut. Young crocs are thrown back. Adult crocs have their bellies inspected. Scarred belly skin won't fetch a high price, so this adult male is also thrown back. Crocs that have been selected for their skins are killed with a gunshot to the skull. Today, crocodile numbers have recovered, with experts estimating there are over 150,000 crocodiles in Australia. Despite this, there are still only 1 to 2 fatalities annually. But in 2014, the Northern Territory lost 4 people in that one calendar year, the highest number since records began.
I guess like any animal, once it does start killing people and people start fearing it, they want to kill it. That's the first instinct, they want to get rid of it.
This rise in killings had the effect of intensifying the debate between conservationists and big game hunters.
You know, in all the old books, they were the arch enemy, you know, throw them to the crocodiles. They're a water's edge predator. They're designed to see things, dive, come underwater, come up right next to them, and boof, you know, up they go. It's very successful.
No one admires crocs more than Graham Webb. Based in Darwin, he's one of Australia's foremost authorities on these fearsome reptiles.
What makes a crocodile the successful animal they are is that their head is all designed like a submarine. Stick up.
Now he's proposing a radical solution. Lift the ban on hunting crocs and promote safaris for big game hunters who'll pay up to $30,000 to bag a croc. Graham's suggestions are founded in extensive research. Here, he and his team capture and tag a large croc to study the population. This young male is captured and fitted with a tracking device, and all the research is pointing to one thing.
Crocodiles in the Northern Territory have recovered to, as far as we can tell, the numbers and densities that were there historically when first settlement came.
Graham believes unless crocs are worth something to landowners, they simply won't want the animals around.
If they're not worth money to people today, people aren't going to put up with it. Make conservation profitable. You're not going to have to push people to conserve things, they'll push you.
This is about the great white trophy hunter coming over from Germany and the US to shoot Australian wildlife for the sheer hell of it, for pleasure, not for food, for pleasure. And that's a very grisly niche market that I really don't think Australians want to pander to.
Nicola Benyon is an animal rights activist with the Humane Society International, one of the many groups lobbying the government to reject Professor Webb's controversial scheme.
Let's not forget that it wasn't so long ago that crocodiles were an endangered species, and they were endangered because of hunting. The only reason that those populations have recovered now is because they were protected.
Up in the Territory, the idea of trophy hunting is not new. It's already happening with buffalo. European hunters are prepared to pay thousands of dollars to trophy shoot one of these feral animals.
That's my stunk.
The majority of people who hunt have ethics and morals. They do it properly, they do it humanely.
At Bullo, Mari has permission to trap problem crocs for their leather. They were granted a licence because numbers had skyrocketed and the crocodiles were killing hundreds of cattle every year. One croc skin alone is worth more than 20 head of cattle, but trophy hunting is even more lucrative. This croc could be worth more than 15,000 Australian dollars to a trophy hunter. The bigger the croc, the bigger the fee.
This is going to be tourists, and it could be someone who's never shot an animal before who'll be allowed to get out there with a harpoon or a gun. The person who's doing the shooting is what counts when it comes to the suffering that the animal will face.
We've got a totally unique situation up here because crocodiles generate all sorts of benefits, economic benefits, social benefits, cultural benefits. They're a win-win situation. If we lose that, we lose the crocodiles.
Unsurprisingly, there's a long history of illegal croc poaching. And because of the vast areas and rugged terrain, strict policing is almost impossible. But there's one type of poaching that is legal: commercial egg harvesting. Dangling from a helicopter above the Northern Territory wetlands is the first step in the lucrative business of crocodile farming. 100 k's outside of Darwin, crocodile hunters scour the top end for mothers guarding their nests of up to 70 eggs. These eggs are removed, then hatched and raised in captivity. These remote wetlands can only be accessed by air, and you can only get to the eggs if you can get past the angry mothers.
Sometimes you come in and you land beside them, and sometimes you come in and you land on them, and there's a bit of a bloody commotion goes on then.
Mick Burns runs multiple crocodile farms and is aware of the dangers of his business.
It's a really dangerous job, and we know it's dangerous, like there's helicopters, and most people are pretty nervous just about the helicopter aspect itself, but then you combine it with really remote locations. It's very hot, it's very humid, it's very testing, it's very demanding. And then you introduce crocodiles, so yeah, like it's testing, there's no question. Yeah.
Armed with just a pole and a bucket, farmers like Mick get the mother away from the nest.
Often it just comes down to that sort of fight or flight, and it's a big game of bluff.
So you just come around here.
And 9 times out of 10, probably 99 times out of 100, you win the game of bluff, and when you don't, well, you've just got to make sure you've got that exit, so.
Yeah. With the crocodile far enough away from her nest, the eggs are collected and flown away. It may seem cruel, but Mick insists that there are benefits both economically and environmentally.
Well, most of those eggs will drown. And if they don't drown, a large percentage will cook or be predated through wildlife and the likes. So it's only 1 in 100 of those eggs that'll actually become an adult crocodile. We don't shy away from the fact that it's a commercial outcome and it's a commercial platform, it's a commercial base. But the conservation is actually a big winner at the same time.
These hatchlings will grow into just a few of the over 70,000 crocodiles Mick has on his farms. Skins like this are worth around $1,000 Australian and are used as crocodile leather by Europe's most exclusive fashion houses. From Darwin, the singlet and thong capital of the world, to the most stylish city on the planet, Paris. Here, 3 to 4 croc skins at a time get handcrafted into a fashion piece de resistance, the Birkin bag. Made by Hermes from crocs raised on Mick's farm, the Birkin bag has a multi-year wait list and an astronomical price tag, some selling at auction for over 60,000 euros. Over 1 million visitors travel to Australia's Northern Territory every year to experience the incredible scenery and amazing wildlife. And for those looking for their very own croc encounter, they'll find it in the heart of Darwin, the multi-million-dollar tourist facility Crocosaurus Cove. Here, people come by the thousands to marvel at this lethal predator. The place is literally infested with crocs, and the whole idea is to get up close and personal. Kids can get a thrill swimming next to some of the younger crocs. But being lowered into a croc enclosure with nothing but a perspex case for protection is the ultimate way to get your blood pumping. This 5-metre, 80-year-old croc, Bert, is so aggressive he's killed every female that has been brought into his enclosure. His instinct on seeing a new entrant into his watery domain is to investigate and attack. The more the swimmer splashes around, the more interested Bert becomes. But it's okay. Bert hasn't managed to break through the cage. Far from the safety of a tourist park, Matt Wright and his team are at it again, tasked with removing a troublesome croc from a Queensland swamp.
We still got to be careful. We don't know how aggressive this fella is. He's been laying up just in here, right?
His every move captured by his film crew. Matt's having a hard time getting the croc to play ball.
You got him. Damn it. I just found this croc and he was just here in front of us. He's just moved off. Ah, it's gone. Here, give me that.
And that tinny is looking very small.
Jumped up at the back of the boat and bit the back of the boat, about half a foot away from my knee.
They were just centimetres away from landing in the croc's den.
Oh, that was in his nose. Go, 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 go.
Good work, Jonesy.
Good work. Yep. Come here, mate. We don't want him to go in there. Ah, yep.
They got him in the end.
We got him.
But in the end, the croc could have got them. The relationship between man and crocodile has always been a complex one. It involves respect and, of course, fear.
Saltwater crocodile, it's a prehistoric animal. It's been around millions of years and it just keeps on surviving.
They were here a long time before we were, hunted almost to extinction. Now crocodiles are thriving, so man and beast better figure out a way to get along.
It's a tough reptile and it's gone through a lot of hard times, but he's here to stay.